Do you remember the name of the circus that used to come to your town that struck your interest?
It was the Barnum and Bailey.
Okay.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of that in years.
So what is your current title as of right?
Adjunct Professor of English.
Okay. How many classes do you teach a semester?
Oh, regular full-timers teach 4. I teach usually 6 or 7.
Okay. Even as an adjunct, you teach that many?
Because right now I have 4 on campus. I always have 4 on campus. And then I have the one out at Dover Air Force Base, the mythology course, and I've also this semester taught one up in Newcastle. So those are our 3 campuses. So I teach at all of them.
What's the favorite class? Oh, I asked you that already.
Yeah, creative writing.
Can you tell me about your family home? Where do you live now?
I live in Milford.
Okay.
Yeah, I've lived there ever since we moved here in '99. And it's just my wife and I.
Okay.
My daughter is grown and has 3 children of her own. She lives in Pennsylvania. My parents just moved out of the house that when I was born that we lived in. They lived in it 63 years, and they've just moved into a senior apartment. So that their house is on the market. It's going to be sold.
Was that in Central Jersey, the same town? Okay.
Yeah, it's in Navesink. In fact, my family has been in Central Jersey, in the same county, since 1738.
Your whole family is a...
My end of the Maxson family, yeah, has been there since 1738. We've been in this country since 1631. In fact, the first European child born in what's now Rhode Island was my direct
What's your
ancestor.
background?
We think we're English Scottish.
Okay.
We're not quite sure where the Maxson came from because there's only one family that's ever come over. You'll see on truck bodies sometimes the M-A-X-O-N rather than M-A-X-S-O-N. That's another branch of our family. They dropped the S when they became Quakers. Go figure. Someplace back in the 17th century. So, whatever. Yeah, we had, here's the story. My direct descendant, the first one, his name was John, came over with his family. He had a 12-year-old son and his wife was pregnant. When they landed in what was called Maxson's Point in Rhode Island, the son and the father got off the ship and were killed by Indians. And the mother was already pregnant. She gave birth to what became the first European child born in Rhode Island. Yeah.
What do you think is the most interesting fact about yourself?
Well, that might be it right there.
Yeah.
Not just that we've managed to survive here for so long. I don't know. I don't know that any of it's terribly interesting or exciting or anything. It's the life I wanted, and I made it come true just by sticking to, writing. I wanted to be a musician, and I became a musician for over 20 years. While I was in college, that was my gig. That was my job. I was a drummer in a rock and roll band.
What was your band's name?
Oh, which one? There was a series of them. I don't even remember what it was during college. But here's the thing. Monmouth College is on the Jersey coast, right? Well, I was the editor of the literary magazine on campus. And on Sunday afternoons, a band would practice in there. Next door to that office was the newspaper office. And Bruce Springsteen band practiced in that office. And then in the early evening, when we finished practice, they had these big sliding doors that were on it because it was an old barn that had been converted. And Springsteen's. That was Saul. What was the name of his band? Steel Mill.
Can you
Back
spell
then.
that?
Huh?
Can you spell that?
Yeah, STEELMILL. That was his band at the time. It's now the E Street Band. So they would open the doors and they would play a set. And then we would open our doors and we'd play a set, and all the kids would come out of the dormitories and sit on, there was a big hill, and they would sit on the bank of the hill. And we'd play a little concert for them. So, yeah, that was the area. I mean, Springsteen came out of there, Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. I mean, there were a bunch of big names. Bon Jovi was from a little further north. But a lot of the guys that we played with, there were a lot of swim clubs right on the ocean there, and that's what we would play. We'd play the swim clubs, and later we would play fraternity parties at Monmouth and also up at Rutgers and all over the place. So it was really a hotbed of rock and roll back then in the late '60s, early '70s. I mean, there were just people all over the place that went on to be famous. In fact, what's his name? Can't think of his name. He was in my graduating class from high school. He was the lead guitarist for Bruce's band. He was also on that television show. The one about the crime family in New Jersey that was on HBO. Went off a couple of years ago. Gandolfino was the guy that played the what is that guy's name? He was in our graduating class, and we also had a Major League Baseball player who was a Cy Young winner. Was in our graduating class from high school too. John Montefusco.
Can you spell that?
Huh?
John what?
Montefusco. Montefusco.
Fusco.
Yeah.
And that was a Major League Baseball player?
Yep. Cy Young winner. Steve Van Zandt. Steve Van Zandt was the other guy. He's the lead guitarist for the E Street Band, yeah.
And they were both in your graduating class?
Yep.
What year is that?
Middletown High School, 1968. That's Middletown, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Because there's a Middletown, Pennsylvania, there's a Middletown, Delaware also.
What do you love about New Jersey so much?
New Jersey anymore. I was just up there not this past weekend, but the one before, and it's so crowded. I mean, I couldn't live there anymore.
Yeah.
I go up only because my parents are still there, and I wanted them to move down here, but too many doctors and things that are up there that they need to stay in touch with.
So why do you like Delaware better?
Yes. Yeah, I'm very glad we made this move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some reasons why you like Delaware more?
It's not as crowded. There is in all of Delaware about the same number of people just in the county that I come from in New Jersey. Okay, so there's like under 800,000 people live in Delaware. There's just slightly under 800,000 in Monmouth County, New Jersey. And then there's 12 other counties. And Monmouth isn't the most densely populated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a slew of people up there. And you can't drive. I sat at a light one day going from my parents' house to their new apartment, and I sat through 5 light cycles before I could actually get through it. That's how crowded it was. It's nuts.
Yeah. I'm from Burlington County.
Are you?
Yeah.
I taught I used to do poetry in the schools in New Jersey, and I did a stint in Burlington County at one of the high schools.
Yeah. Do you remember which one?
No. No. Probably if you said it, I would know it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. That's back in the late '70s. That's 30 years ago. Lucky I remember 30 years ago.